for all things Halloween. This is Hauntformer, and welcome to part 1 of the 2017 abandoned haunted house build. Everyone, I first want to thank you so much for all of the support with all the other abandoned videos up to this point. I know so many people were looking forward to the builds, as am I, and I, again, couldn't thank you for your support, and I also couldn't do this without God's support, too. So, without any more delay, let's jump into the layout of the haunt. One of the most important parts of a haunted house is getting the right layout and idea for it. Then everything can materialize when you actually put it together. So, here's the basic layout. It looks pretty simple, but it is actually more complex than previous years. It is definitely very different, too. So let's talk about it briefly. So guests will enter in through the side door of the garage and make their way almost down to the other end of the garage. They'll then make a left turn and go back the way they came, all the way to the other end, which sounds confusing, but it will make sense. Then guests will go up to the top of the garage and then make a right turn going past a hallway which will have either a scare actor or some sort of display or prop character in it. Then they're going to go back downward through some more curtains and out the exit, which is the front of the garage. One of the garage doors is usually opened. It is on the left if you're facing the garage. Everything sounds a bit confusing, but it will make more sense in just a moment, because now we're going to look at what will be inside each of these hallways and rooms. So when guests first enter, there is a space that is much shorter than all of the other spaces in the haunted house. This usually is some sort of theme, whether it was a jail cell in previous years. Last year it had the smoldering zombie in it. Typically, people don't walk under it, so it makes a great display when people first walk into the haunt. And for this year, I want it to be a brick wall with vines on it. And I want the brick wall to maybe have graffiti with the word abandoned on it. And after they walk past these vines, I want there to be a large wall of vines that actually contains a scare actor behind it that can jump out and scare people. I don't know what mask or anything the scare actor will wear, maybe a plant monster, or maybe just a zombie of some sorts, but that is the first good scare I want for this year. And if you have any more ideas about that area, as well as any of the others, please let me know. The next 2 rooms that the people will walk into is the boxes and storage area. This will have a lot of, I know people have mentioned it, scary boxes, but basically just a lot of boxes and storage areas to confuse people. We could even maybe get some strobing lights in there, and maybe some electrical cords too, but we'll talk about those again in just a moment. I also would love to have some spider webs in here. I would love the jumping spider in here, and I would maybe love some cocooned victims of spiders in these rooms. The next room is going to be one of the most important, which is the crashed rollercoaster car. Yes, I'm going to attempt to make a rollercoaster car. You'll see that over the summer at some point, I assume. And with that, we're going to add those fire lights that we used in years previous. And we're probably going to put the smoke machine in this room too, coming out from the bottom of the car. That's the plan, and we'll see how well that materializes too. The next room is the electrical room. We're going to have, of course, the electrical boxes and the live wires and stuff like that in here. If they do bring back the electrified corpse or other electric props this year, you may see some of those in this room. I'm not positive, but you never know. But I always felt it was important to have an electrical room in an abandoned haunted house. And again, with each of these rooms, expect a lot of shrubbery, a lot of plants, a lot of vines, because I want it to feel overgrown. I also, in some of these rooms, wanted to add the digital atmosphere effects, the ones with the critters, to give it a more lifelike look. The next room is going to have the crash victim, and some caution tape in this room as well. Now, I was debating whether the crash victim was going to be the ancient mummy prop that I recently purchased, or the John Doe prop that I had in years previous. However, I have to see if John Doe is functioning correctly, first of all, which maybe will be a build in and of itself, and then we'll go from there with deciding the fate of that room, but that is going to be an important room too. I definitely want some strobing lights in there, caution tape, want it to look sort of like a crime scene, basically. The next room is going to be pretty dark. It's going to have overgrown plants on the walls, and at the end of the hallway, I'm planning on building a life-size Mr. Smiley character, the mascot of Smiley World. If you saw in the Haunt trailers, there's that giant smiley head. That will be his head, and his body will somewhat look like a stick figure, somewhat like Mickey Mouse, a little mix. We'll see what happens with him. But that room is basically entering the abandoned amusement park, which is a big bulk of the haunted house, as you notice. This is a pretty vague area because I'm not entirely sure of what's going to be going in here. I assume some carnival rides. I want a lot of popping out, scare acting, and definitely a lot of animatronics in this area. I'll definitely have some zombies, some ghost props. It'll be really, really cool. The lights are going to be awesome in this area. We can even maybe get a ticket booth in here. The sky's the limit, as we say, and if you have any ideas, please leave them in the comments below. Also, expect a lot of clowns in this area too. Pretty heavy with the clowns, which I am excited for, and I hope Spirit will bring some clowns this year so I can get my claws on them too. And finally, after all this, they will make a departure to their left, or the right as you're looking, and then they will exit out the front of the garage to get their candy. And that is the layout of the abandoned amusement park. I hope you all enjoyed this first of many haunt builds for 2017. If you enjoyed it, give it a like and subscribe to Hauntformer. And remember, as always, for all things Halloween, this is Hauntformer.